Hi friends, welcome in. Pull up a chair. In this video, it's going to be all drugstore. I just got some different things that I want to talk about. Some of it's like rediscovered, little product combos that I like together. I just kind of realized I had some stuff to say and it was all drugstore related. I got a few newer things too that I want to just kind of update you on. My pink chair is an absolute playground for the kittens, so when they hear me up here, they're all over it. Moisturized, sunscreened, everything like that. I am going to prime with my new e.l.f. Halo Glow liquid filter. I've already used this in a video where I mentioned several other new e.l.f. things that I'm enjoying. But yeah, I definitely want to use this as my primer today. I've enjoyed this stuff very much. I think it's a great drugstore alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter, although it's not the only drugstore alternative to it. And I wear it in the shade 2, by the way. But I also think that the Maybelline 4-in-1, the little spongy tip, that's a good option. And the True Match Lumi Glotion from L'Oreal also. I mean, all of these things provide this kind of glowy base. I feel like this one maybe makes the most impact. There's a little more color pigment and also just shimmer intensity. But all are good in their own way, and all will definitely add some luminosity to your look. Another great one, if you shop at Dollar General, the Believe Beauty Radiantly Primed Primer is a really great first step, and it gives you a very nice glowy look. But there we are, got that all blended in. And then for my foundation today, you guys know I love my Wet n Wild Photo Focus, but another really nice, like, strong medium coverage foundation that I've rediscovered in recent weeks has been my Believe Beauty. This is called the Skin Finish Foundation, and I wear it in the shade Cashmere, and it is just a beautiful look on the skin. Really, all of Believe Beauty, it's worth looking into. The foundation is great, the primer, like I just mentioned. Also, any of their powder products like bronzer, blush, highlighters, eyeshadows, they're doing so many things well. I really hope that brand can stay a thing and, you know, just keep cranking out the products. I'd hate to see that get discontinued because there's been just so much amazing and surprising quality. And if you're interested in learning more, I definitely have a couple of videos fully devoted to Believe Beauty. But as you can see, I'm just bouncing this in with my beauty blender and it gives a really pretty look on the skin. I think I've described this at times as feeling like a fusion of both formulas of the Wet n Wild, like kind of somewhere between the dewy and the regular. It's just super easy to blend. It's a very traditional thin liquid foundation texture. Or consistency, I should say. But when I'm using the Beauty Blender, as you've probably seen, I use it a lot. You know, like I really go over places where I've applied product and try to make sure that it's fully worked in and that there's nothing sitting there just kind of unblended or waiting to be touched, you know. You gotta get everywhere. And sometimes dabbing over the same places will remove some excess and make it look as natural as possible. But I think Skin Finish is a perfect name for this foundation because it really does mimic the finish of clean skin. But yet it has some nice coverage. It is somewhat buildable, but I think with one full pump like I've applied today, I think you get a strong medium coverage. I've got a little like combo of things that I think is doing great for my concealer, and they're all like super cheap drugstore products. One is my Incognito Concealer from Wet n Wild. I wear this in light beige. I feel like e.l.f. Camo Concealer always gets all the raves and love when I'm talking about best of the drugstore types of stuff. And it is amazing, but this is really right up there. I use a little bit more of this than I would use of Camo Concealer, and I realized that just gives me the best result. But it's really not too far off in the feel and the texture, and it has really good coverage, and this shade is just perfection on me. It's just enough to be like coverage, but also a little bit brightening too. So I'm bouncing that in also with my beauty blender, and you can see that brightness coming about, which is very necessary. Had a long day yesterday. I actually got to volunteer in Biddy's class. Kindergarten has been focusing on colors now for the first couple weeks of school. They've been wearing the colors every day, and then they end that off with these painted rainbow t-shirts. So everybody gets a t-shirt, and I got to come in and like call the kids out into the hall and work on these while they were having class. And all I can say is kindergartners are so precious, like just so sweet. The things a kindergartner will say to you in all seriousness, you know, is just like like you want to start laughing, but they are being super serious. Like the kid who told me, I am a ninja. I just can't flip forwards or backwards yet. You don't laugh at that. You take that fully and you take that to heart and you discuss that. That age is just something really, really special. If you got a kindergartner, just, you know, soak that up. It is such a sweet age. But anyway, it would just like sponge painting this little rainbow onto their t-shirts. And yeah, I just enjoyed the heck out of getting to be there and getting, you know, a glimpse into kind of what a kindergarten afternoon is like. But as you see, I've got this concealer blended in. My coverage is now, you know, where I want it, all over around the nose, under the eye area. And this is gonna last really well. And part of it's because of this new approach, okay? Rimmel Stay Matte, but I found a lighter, brighter shade. So I've always been using Sandstorm. You can see it's a little bit deeper. It's probably really well suited to my all over skin tone, but if I would want this texture of powder and something brighter, I got the shade Creamy Natural. You really have to look at the shades because like my Walmart had multiple colors and I think even the one that said translucent didn't look lighter than Creamy Natural. So if you're kind of my skin tone and you're wanting something brightening, think about the Creamy Natural shade, but Sandstorm is a good, like, can do anything kind of shade. Like if you have this one, this is still fine on the under eye for me. Like it doesn't dull me down, but this is even brighter. And then I've got my little e.l.f. Halo Glow Powder Puff. I got this with the Halo Glow Loose Powder, which I continue to love that pink tone loose powder. But I decided, hey, how about that powder puff with some other things? So I use this, I go into it, and keep in mind this is still a powder that I feel like paces you and you don't pick up too much on your little puff at once as you use it. I just get a little and I press it in on the under eye and I feel like I get like impeccable staying power with this approach. I was just noting yesterday, like I had this on setting my T-zone in my under eye, and while nothing looked heavy, it looks super even and just really on point. Now I've got some circles and bags a little bit over here because I did not get a lot of good sleep last night, but all in all, like the brightness is there. You don't want to overuse it, but when you use just enough, I feel like it's a really good look. Next up, I took a TikTok recommendation. I really enjoy watching Bethany Frankel on TikTok, and I feel like I'm gonna expand on this in another YouTube video, but like the things she recommends, she's kind of taken a dive into drugstore makeup and she'll just pop on and she'll talk about things that she doesn't like or things that she does like. And you know, she's from Real Housewives, founder of that whole Skinny Girl brand. But anyway, she talks in a very frank and honest way about products. And she mentioned this as being the top thing she's ever discovered. And it's using this Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser in the 148 shade, one of the deeper tones, and using it as like liquid bronzer slash contour. So that's what we're doing. And I have tried this before and it does look really good, I must say. I use my Sephora 56 to blend this in, but you know, it blends well. It's a texture of product that I'm super familiar with, but it just kind of never occurred to me to use it this way. But it makes sense to me that someone would think to do this now because of the popularity of like, you know, Charlotte Tilbury contouring products that are liquid like this, basically. This is just a texture a lot of people seem to want to work with right now. It's hot. So it's interesting to go to a long-standing line of products and be like, okay, I'm going to use that. And it really does work. So I just blend it in and I do get this nice contour. It's fairly warm. You could maybe experiment with whatever shade you pick out, but I just chose the one she recommended, and I gotta say it does the work. It does the job. And I'm kind of like contouring, but working it up just a little bit because it does have kind of a bronzer vibe, you know? See, that works. That was kind of fun, right? So just something to think about if you are wanting a cream or liquid contour from the drugstore. And then this bronzer. So I was talking about in my last video sub-lines of makeup brands that I think are really, really good. And one of those sub-lines is the Lumi sector of L'Oreal. And I had heard good things about this bronzer, but I couldn't find it in stock in the shade Deep, which was what I wanted. And guys, this is really pretty. Like a lot of you are probably familiar with it because it's been around a while, but it does have some gentle luminosity and it's a nice big pan of product and it doesn't look too warm actually on the skin. So I'm kind of just for fun here, not that I would need to layer the two bronzer contour type things, but I am throwing them both on today and I kind of feel like the tone of the Lumi balances out the warmth of the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. But I think what kind of cracks me up sometimes about Bethany's recommendations is I'll see her like talking about something I've raved on for months, if not years in some situations. And you know, she's super well known and super popular, and people like kind of make a big deal about the fact that she's recommended X, Y, or Z, and I'm kind of sitting over here like, I knew that was good. But the thing about TikTok is if you're accustomed, we've got a cat back here. I actually noticed it this time. If you're accustomed to YouTube reviews, you're used to getting more information all at once, right? And when you watch TikTok, like sometimes she will be like, products I don't like, this, you know, and she'll just name the product, but you don't have any extra info. So you may come away sometimes watching feeling like, okay, and what else? You know, what else can you tell me? That's what you got to keep coming to YouTube for, y'all. Okay, so I've got those bronzers blended in, and I think the skin's looking really good. I rediscovered a blush out of my own collection the other day that's so pretty, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not using it more. It's from the L'Oreal True Match line, and it is in the shade Sweet Ginger, and it's a little bit glowy and a little bit warm, and I just feel like it's a good blush for some of those toasty looks you might start being inspired to do this time of year as we get into late summer and soon early fall. So I just kind of dab in there. It's pigmented. It's really pretty. I mean, it's just, I couldn't quite call it pure peach. It's a little richer, and yeah, definitely a little bit warm, but I love that. Hello. Hello, biscuits. I gotta take them into the doctor for some shots today. It was as soon as they could get them in. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, you can be so cuddly. I love these kittens so much. I can't handle it. Like, oh, they're so cute. And they're growing fast, like putting on weight, just like getting longer. Looking in the mirror, that's you. So how are we liking the look so far? I think it's going really well. And then another little rediscovered love here from Essence. It's the Pure Nude highlighter in the shade Be My Highlight. So this has been around a long time, but I'm just gonna use it for a little gentle brightening on the cheeks. I think this gives a little step down glow compared to my L'Oreal Lumi Moonkissed palette, but still, you know, it really has its place. It's really pretty. Definitely comes under the heading of one of those sneaky highlighters, kind of undetectable. Gives a pretty look on the surface of the skin, but isn't really looking makeup-y. Okay, and then I'm gonna set that with a little bit of my Rose Setting Mist from Wet n Wild. Watch out, kitten. She's still on my lap. Next up, I'm gonna do brows. I'm using my e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil, which is in the shade Cool Brown. And yeah, I'm going through brow stuff. I feel like every day that I reach in for something to use on my brows, I'm not really thinking like, ooh, it needs to be this. I'm just thinking, I got a lot of good quality stuff here. I'm just gonna use what I have and go through it. Brow pencils are probably one of the quickest used up things that I have. Like these skinny ones, you go through them fast. Uh-oh, somebody just discovered they might like to play with a beauty blender. Oh, I remember Bakey would always bat those things around. I'd find them like in the corner of the room, knocked underneath something, you know. Oh, there's my sponge. This Cool Brown is just a really good shade for dark brown hair. Texture is nice, reminds me a lot of ABH Brow Wiz. And then NYX Control Freak, you know how we do. Don't really need to add any extra color to this, so we're just kind of helping those hairs stand up. So I'm just working some of these front hairs. When I apply my brow gel, I don't really talk about it that much, but I just kind of work the front hairs more straight up. And as I go, everything else lays down just a little bit more. You know, I don't have all my hair standing straight up at attention, but the frontmost ones kind of do. Next up, I'm going to pop on a little bit of eyeshadow primer. Today it's going to be Milani eyeshadow primer. That concealer combo, you guys, though, like, I could not believe how fresh the wear was. 'Cause I was going to volunteer the other day in the afternoon for the t-shirt project, and I was kind of preparing to, like, okay, I might need to touch some things up here. I just didn't need to. I just threw on some lipstick. The whole face was in place. It was basically this look. And then, kind of in the spirit of fall coming, I had been pulling for my Gemini 2 palette from Melt quite a bit. I love those rich burgundies in there, especially like this center core of the palette I love so much. And it's funny how, like, kind of when you're in a mode, a certain eyeshadow mode, like you'll get drawn to the same characteristics in different palettes. Okay, now she's like, I gotta sniff around. So without even trying to make a direct comparison, I felt like pulling out my Wet n Wild Nude Awakening palette, and it also has some of these really like rich tones in it too. And I just thought, you know, I'm definitely not calling these guys dupes because they're so much different, you know, in the entirety of the palette. But if you zone in on that rich stuff happening in this one and kind of the darkness here, you can actually end up with some kind of like looks that are in the ballpark of one another. Speaking of ballpark, segue. My girls get to perform with their cheerleading gym at Busch Stadium this weekend. I am so excited for them. They had their last practice last night, Wednesday night. I'm going to that kind of beigey crease color, and I'm just so proud. Like, a lot of these girls have never cheered before, you know, the ones that are in their group, and the squad they're on, the rec team that they're on, is kind of like an opportunity to see what it's all about. You know, you're having weekly practices. They're really actually putting in some decent hours with their squad, but it's a little lower commitment than a full-on all-star squad. And they can just see, you know, if they want to do it. And I feel like, given the age that kids get into cheerleading these days, I could have gotten both these girls started sooner, you know, had we wanted to, but we had like COVID, you know, complicated times these past couple of years. But also another thing that kind of weighed in my mind was, don't force them into something just because you like it. When opportunities came around, like the little spring show team that they did last spring, instead of telling them, you're doing this, like, we need to do this, I really tried to bring it up to them, like, would you be interested in this? This is happening. Do you want to be part of it? Like, I'm such a hardcore cheerleading lover, I don't want to feel like I'm pressing that on someone else, because it doesn't feel good to anybody to be like made to do something, or like mommy wants to live out her glory days through you kids. Like, that's really not what it's about. If this is not what they should be doing, if this is not the thing that's best for them, like, I don't want to force it, but if they're interested in it, I will support it. It's the same with makeup and stuff. Like, I don't take anyone in my life and say, you must be as into this as I am. It's my interest, it's my hobby. If you want to talk to me about it, if you want to get into it with me, fine, but I'm not forcing anybody. Sometimes when you're so into something, like when I say I'm into cheerleading, guys, I'm 38 years old. It's been a long time since I've been on a cheerleading squad. You know, it's been since college, but it was my passion, like makeup is. And when you're that, like, I didn't just kind of cheer, I lived it. I was obsessed with it. And when you're on that level with something, you really have to look outside yourself, I feel like, and stop and think, like, if your kids are going to get involved, you have to say, is this me forcing something to happen here just because I love it, or is this them? And I really wanted to be cautious about that and let it be them, because I just didn't want to be that parent, you know, because I'm also a big advocate for just freaking childhood. Live your life, run in the yard, go play at playgrounds, visit the library, do classic kid things, you know, play with your toys. If all they want to do at this point is just be a kid, I am all for that too. But like I said, if there's an opportunity, I'll present it. If they want to do it, I'll support it. I'm putting some of that red really softly. I'm like barely tapping in. And then putting that in with my crease brush. Getting her the tap, 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 and of course she's back. Hi, sweetie. Yep, I'm still going. Then what I'm going to do is take a couple of the different dark shades in my outer corner. First, I'm going to start by layering up some of the burgundy. This is so classic me, yes, but I like the look. And I'm kind of trying to get my point across that you can sort of get a similar look to that Milk palette. I mean, there is just nothing to complain about as far as the pigmentation of these shadows. But a big advantage, though, to wrap up this conversation about kids and activities and stuff, I think there's a lot to be gained from a kid being part of a team and kind of realizing what it's about to be a team player, having the experience of being coached, being taught something that's not really school, but it's also outside of what your parents are going to deal with you on, learning some things about commitment, about discipline, taking on a role in the routine just because that's what's for the good of the team, you know, whatever it may be. Those are good, just like life skill foundations. I'm going into this shade here, which does have some shimmer. It's kind of like a really dark berry brown. And I'm adding a little bit of that to the deepest part of my crease. Can you see that maybe a little bit? As it shears out, it looks really pretty. And then just blend around the edge. This is a bare brush right here. Only blending on the outer edge. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna add some more darkness, some more intensity, because we go even darker than these shades. We have these shades. I'm gonna also, just while I've got this brush in my hand, go into that light cream color. Let that kind of dance around the outside here, bouillon. Then back to my flat brush. I'm just gonna go straight into the black. It's a pigmented black, so little at a time, but that's going into my ultimate outermost corner. Okay, so we really have some of that burgundy on about half the lid. Even if it's just getting lighter as it comes in, it's still there. But the black is now coming into this outermost part. Gosh, I love that. Just a little black eyeshadow, nothing wrong with that. And then I'm just kind of getting my brush into that, blending it all together. This is the small pointed brush. This is where you have the precision and kind of the shaping ability. But it's just really rich and dark burgundy tone. And next thing I'm gonna do is use a little bit of this shade in the lower corner. It has some shimmer. It's a really nice texture, actually. It's kind of like sort of soft rose gold. And I'm working that just around the outer edge. I've got like a climber on that chair right now, if you're hearing things. Sorry. See, really pretty. Just a light kind of fade out. Okay, then I'm coming in with a smaller flat brush, and I think I'm going to use this shade up here. It really almost looks like the same color as what's in the lower corner, but it's just like a different texture. It's a little bit brighter, more metallic, but overall I'd call it like rose gold. That's going to go over pretty much this whole lid space that's left. I swear, this palette is so pretty. Even if you just use the dark shades as like eyeliners, sort of, the palette is so good. And then this color right down here, we have two creams. One is pearly, one is matte. I'm gonna go into the pearly one with that same brush and just hit that inner corner a little bit. It really is pigmented. Okay, we're rocking and rolling with this look. Then I'm going to take a fairly new product that you may have seen me use in my NYX video, and it's called the Epic Smoke Liner in the shade Nude Haze. And so I'm going to use this on my lower lash line. It's so good. It's like such a good general kind of lower lash line tone is all I can say. It's like a little bit taupey brown. See how it is so soft, but like it's perfect, and the shape of it is a little bit chunky. It's kind of a teardrop shape, and what I'm doing is just drawing that right up to meet my outer corner there. Cover the whole like kind of lower lash line space and let it meet your outer shadow. And then if you want to smudge it more, it has a little brush, a little actual brush on the other side, and you can soften that out to your heart's content. See, I just love that. Part of what I love about that is like it lasts. It's a shadowy look without being powder shadow. Oh, you know what scent I've been really getting into lately? It's a sample size of the replica stuff. It's the scent called Jazz Club. Anybody else familiar with that one? It's kind of intense, isn't it? Like really goes there, but I enjoy it. And it lasts. I think that's part of the goodness. So this is my Essence Lash Princess, or yeah, they call it Lash Princess Liner in the black waterproof shade. If you're gonna use liner, it may as well be waterproof, right, my friends? And we're winging it a little. Small wing. Okay, and then we can kind of merge things there with some of our really dark shadow too. So I've never taken two kitty cats to the vet before. Like I know the difference between them, but will I have to go ahead and put a collar on them? Like we bought some cute little collars because we didn't think at first we'd be able to tell the difference, but I very quickly, you know, realized that Biscuits has different markings, like lighter color to her overall. I could easily say also in the beginning, like the first days that we got them, that Rosie was a decent amount smaller, but now I don't think that's the case. I mean, I'm sure vets see multiple pets all the time, but maybe I'll just bring one of the collars. They just don't like them very much. They have teeny tiny bells on them. They just wanted out of them when I first put it on. But maybe just for the vet visit. We don't need one cat getting like double shots or anything. I'm just pulling in my angled liner brush, and let's go to this like a really dark brown black kind of thing. And we can just meet up with the wing. I've been doing this technique for ages, but I still like it. Like, I know kind of natural eye looks, barely there eye looks are great. I mean, I've talked about barely there palettes, but sometimes we like a ultra glam, little smoky moment. For mascara today, I'm using my Essence Another Volume Mascara Just Better. This is one of their newest ones. Add it to the list of things with hyaluronic acid. Their little sticker says with hyaluronic acid and panthenol. And this is a decent mascara. It takes me a little while to build it, but it's still pretty good. So this is a brush that's just real chunky, you know, it's very tight bristles and it's not really tapered at all toward the tip, but like it does not really clump your lashes together at all. So it takes a second to sort of get real building happening. You know what I mean? Oh, I still have paint on my hands from those shirts. Kids were so neat as they painted them. It's like, wow. The cutest was the little girl who was like, "Did you hear Eve's mom is coming to help?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm her." It's like, wow, you guys look alike. It's definitely a privilege, you know, to get to come in and be a helper for kids. And for the longest time, you know, that wasn't happening. The last time I got to volunteer in a classroom, just because of COVID stuff, so much of the school, they really kept things off limits, it seemed like, to anyone who wasn't a student last year. Like, you weren't going in, you weren't walking anybody down a hall. So I hadn't like volunteered since, gosh, it would have been fall of Belle's last year of pre-K. That was the last time I've gotten to come and like help with something. Because then that year was cut short. The next year, Biddy wasn't in school at all yet, and Belle did kindergarten basically from home the whole time. And then her first grade year, Biddy's pre-K year, things were very limited in terms of parental involvement. And I think that's fine, you know, they're making decisions for the kids' safety, and that's the most important thing. But it was just nice to get to help. Kelly Ray, come hell or high water. That's my lower lash. Okay, I'm just building a little bit more with the mascara. It really is a decent for me mascara. I know I've talked a lot about recently, pretty much ever since getting big into superhero. A big takeaway there was it builds up fast. It kind of freezes on the lashes, it holds the curl, it doesn't force me to rake through it for a long time. And ever since superhero, I've always seen that as a big benefit. So it doesn't mean other mascaras can't work, but it's just one more characteristic that I do kind of try to look for is, does it build quick? This one doesn't build so quick. Okay, last thing here. Do you guys remember in a video where I recommended the red Paw Paw Balm? Dr. Paw Paw multi-purpose, and it was like the red color. Well, since that video, the Paw Paw PR team reaches out to me and they're like, "Can we send you some more stuff?" You just never know. You never know who's watching the stuff you're putting out. I'll just say that. And they sent me several different things. And the first thing I've gotten into is the Rich Mocha Balm, okay? Rich Mocha. This is so pretty. Now, holy big tube, right? 0.84 fluid ounces here. By the way, this is cruelty-free and vegan for lips, cheeks, and cosmetic finishing with a hint of tint. I've been using it on lips. Okay. You get kind of a brownish color at the get-go. Just wait. Oh, super moisturizing. I liken these to the feel of the Glossier Balm.coms. You know, some of those are tinted, so the red Paw Paw reminded me of the cherry. Look at that pretty, balmy, kind of rich nude lip. Are we obsessed with this? I love this balm. The tint is just, like, dope. I love it. Isn't that gorgeous? Like yesterday, what I did, I had this on, and I was wearing it through most of my makeup routine, and then I added a little more color to it with the Milani matte lipstick in the shade Passion, which is like deep dusty rose basically. Really pretty look. Here I'm kind of like content to just have this how it is. Maybe we just add a bit of lip liner. Pull in Nude from Revlon Color Stay. Just neaten it up. This will coordinate perfectly. And you could definitely put the lip liner on first. There are many times that I don't decide I need the lip liner until after. That's fine. I say a little more blush and then we can be done. This is a very classic me look, I must say. Like, I really like this kind of look. This is fall vibes. This is, let's, you know, pump up the intensity a little bit. So there's our Sweet Ginger blush from L'Oreal True Match. And then last thing I might do is grab my Rimmel Stay Matte one more time and take a little bit here and the seam between blush and under eye. Pat this in and also get right up to that under eye area because you're going to enhance your staying power even more. We're talking light amount of powder here. But look how like the surface of the skin just looks like doll skin. I dig it. I dig the look. Putting all my things back in my little bag. What were some favorite finds here? Big thing for me is the combo of the Incognito and the Stay Matte powder. Another concealer that has ended up looking gorgeous with this approach is the new Too Faced Born This Way Ethereal Light. This is a rock star, the Believe Beauty Foundation. Gosh, there's so much good stuff in this video. The blush and bronzer. This is way up there. Like if you need a good drugstore eye palette recommendation, Nude Awakening from Wet n Wild. If you like this kind of look that's got, you know, the potential for a little drama, but it doesn't have to be that way every day. You're the boss. But yeah, I love drugstore makeup. End of story. Thank you so much, my friends, for taking some time out of your day to join me for this little drugstore hodgepodge video, we'll call it. We had some new, we had some old, we just had some kind of product combos that are very enjoyable right now. And that balm, isn't that fun? It's so like low maintenance, easy, but the tone, does it not make the whole face look more finished? It ain't just barely there. There is pigment in that Paw Paw balm. So thank you, friends. Thank you for any video ideas you give me in the comments section, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.